everybody. This is TheRantCorner here, and you probably noticed I have an intro now, which is fantastical, because I decided I was going to put more work into my videos. Today we're going to start the Dream Theater discography with Day and Dream Unite, or Dream and Day Unite, or however the hell you pronounce it. I think the thing that stands out most about this album is, one, it's their debut album, and two, it has a different singer. Instead of having James Labrie, who has been at the vocal home ever since Images and Words, a lot of people seem to disregard this album, or they don't know about the album at all. And that's mostly because this album had Charlie Dominici on it. Charlie Dominici was, I think, the second vocalist for Dream Theater after Chris Collins left or got kicked out. And I think that a lot of people underrate Dominici mainly because, he's not James Labrie. James Labrie has a lot more of a, he has a much higher vocal range, and he's not quite as rugged. He's very crisp, and he's very clean, and he's very concise with his singing. Dominici is more rugged and raw, and I think for the time that prog metal or prog rock was in, that was the kind of sound you wanted to get out of it. And I think once you got into the 1990s, Images and Words kind of fashioned that crisp, clear, and concise vocal sound, which has carried on to this day. This friggin' album is probably one of the most underrated Dream Theater albums, and really one of the most underrated prog rock albums in prog rock's or prog metal's history. This is actually a really good album. If you listen to it, it doesn't compare to the greats, but it is good. It's decent. So how about instead of talking about how good it is, how about we just talk about the music? The first track on here is A Fortune in Lies, which starts out very powerful. It starts out with a very, I guess I compare it to Nightwish kind of thing when it starts out, and it kind of, once you get into like the chorus and stuff, the two beginning choruses, it has this very free flow kind of open, kind of textural feel to it, and I like that song for conveying that. The next track is Status Seeker. Status Seeker is kind of I would compare it to any song off of Grace Under Pressure. It sounds like something you'd hear off of that album. Not to mention, Charlie Dominici's vocal style is very Geddy Lee-ish. He has that kind of nasally sound. Charlie Dominici can still get up there, but he's not quite as high as James Labrie. He kind of has that happy medium where Geddy Lee would be in maybe Moving Pictures or Permanent Waves. I'm going to save the Yitzy Jam for later. The next track that I want to talk about is The Killing Hand. The Killing Hand, I think, is Dominici's shining moment, because he does, especially in this song, he has quite a few shining moments on this album, and this song really conveys what Charlie Dominici can really do. And finally, the golden jewel of this album is the Yitzy Jam. And the Yitzy Jam is probably one of my favorite Dream Theater instrumentals that they've really ever done. And the Yitzy Jam is something you'll hear at a Dream Theater show every now and then if you're lucky. And it's a really, really good song. It has a lot of variety, and I think it's really the first taste of what these guys can really do. And once you get farther into this discography, there's definitely a lot more variety and there's a lot more complexity, but this is their 2112 Overture, if you will, or their La Villa Strangiato, if you were to compare it to that. If I were to rate this album, I'd give it a 6 out of 10. And the reason I say that is because the production of this album isn't exactly awesome. I think because of, this is their first album, so they're obviously going to be a little underrated because they're fairly new. So they're not going to really pay too much attention to this particular band, so the production of the album is going to be rather, which is why I would recommend finding any song that they've done off of When Dream and Day Unite live, because it's definitely better. if you were to find two albums that were way better live than they were on the studio album, it would be When Day and Dream Unite and Falling into Infinity. And that's the video. That's the first chapter of the Dream Theater discography, now over. I was going to review the Majesty demos, but they're impossible to find. So, see you guys later, because I'm too friggin' stupid not to just bootleg them. Alright, bye-bye.